Well, hello guys, and welcome back to another Rick and Morty review. In this episode, we'll be taking a look at Season 1, Episode 10, Close Rick Counters of the Rick Kind. Yeah, let's just get right into it. So we start off, they're having dinner. It's Rick's, I think, 1-year anniversary of being with the family, or it's about to be. And then a Rick and Morty come in, kill our Rick, or kill El Rick, and steal the Morty, right? You've got the Rick with the scar, a Morty with an eye patch. And that's how it starts, right? And it's like, oh shit, what's going on in this one? Ooh. So we cut to our Rick and our Morty, dimension... Is this the one where we find out it's dimension C-137? It was either this one or the previous. I think it's this one, actually. But, right, our Rick and Morty, they're having breakfast, because it is actually Rick's 1-year anniversary. And then the Council of Ricks come in and basically take our Rick and our Morty and bring them to the Citadel of Ricks, which is home of the Council of Ricks. The Citadel of Ricks is really interesting because it takes the simple design of Rick and Morty and puts all sorts of scenarios on them, right? Because the whole principle here is basically there is an infinite number of worlds, so there's an infinite numbers of Rick and Mortys. So they took all of the Rick and Mortys and they created a Citadel of Ricks and a Council of Ricks to basically run from the government when in fact they have become a government themselves. It's this huge hypocrisy, right? That, let's avoid government by being government. Government creates order, right? Shit like that. But the Citadel of Ricks is very creative because we see a fish Rick and Morty. We see references to other things, right? Other shows. We see a Hammer Morty. I don't think we see a Hammer Rick. We see the Cronenberg Rick and Morty from Rick Potion number 9, right? Just a bunch of different references. It's really neat. But eventually, our Rick and Morty is taken before the Council of Ricks, and Rick is being charged for killing a bunch of other Ricks and stealing Mortys like we saw in the beginning of the episode. They search his portal gun history. Again, the episode is funny. And they find out that, the dimensions he's been to is the same dimensions where all the murders took place. So, right, Rick eventually breaks out. He steals his portal gun back. And we go traveling from dimension to dimension as our Rick and Morty try to fake out the other Ricks and Mortys. We get this whole running joke about a pizza sitting on a sofa ordering a human, right? Or using a human to order a phone pizza. It's really complicated, and the joke just keeps they switch the places of everything. But it works. We also get to see other worlds. We get to see the butt world again, I think. I think we've seen the butt world before. If not, this is the first time we've seen the butt world, and we'll keep seeing it. But eventually, our Rick and Morty are able to outrun the other Ricks and Mortys who are following them from the council. And they end up in, phone world. They end up in a world where the people are recliners. The recliners are people. They're eating phones, and the phones are pizzas. Let's pretend that makes sense. But eventually, they get tracked down by the Council of Ricks and are able to escape. We then cut to the council. We then cut to Beth and Jerry and Summer, who are at their house, and we see that all the Ricks and Mortys have taken hold up in their house, waiting for the actual Rick and Morty to call. And they're like, I wish my Beth was as good as yours. Which, again, it's this interesting dynamic. All these Ricks and all these Mortys across all timelines. Honestly, when I first saw this episode, I was kind of disappointed at it because of that fact. There's something about it that I just feel lessens everything that happens. From here on out, if there's just infinite amounts of Ricks and Mortys all working together, who cares, right? Nothing is special, nothing is sacred anymore. That's how I first felt on this episode. And while I still kind of agree, it has gotten a little bit more complicated since then, right? But they're just the people from the Council of Ricks are just fucking with Jerry, right? Because that's what they do. But we see dumb Rick, who, right, he's dumb Rick. He's got the stupid bull haircut. They keep saying he eats shit. I'm pretty sure he may actually eat shit. But he ends up getting along with Jerry because, of course, he's an idiot. But he's an idiot, but yet he's still the smartest Rick. But yet, yeah, okay, I'm trying to explain this. He's dumb, but yet he's still smart compared to Jerry. But yet, compared to all the other Ricks, he's dumb as hell. Right? So we get Jerry and dumb Rick's bromance. We cut back to Rick and Morty, and eventually they are able to track down whoever they're looking for, and they just find this giant thing of Mortys. Because as Morty learns, the only reason Ricks hang out with Mortys is because Morty's idiot waves block Rick's smart waves, right? And this guy is kidnapping all these Mortys to basically block himself, not just from the government, but from, like, being tracked by other Ricks. And yeah, it's fucked up. I do love the line, you can get the same effect with 5 Mortys and a jumper cable. That's really funny. Because, yeah, Morty, this is the first time where we really see Morty rebel against Rick. Go like, hey, fuck you, Rick. Because he does start to throw a tantrum, basically complaining, oh, nothing special, our relationship means nothing, fuck everything. And because he throws a tantrum, he gets caught by the evil Rick and Morty, which, okay, we see all these Mortys trapped within a cage. And because, yeah, basically this Rick's been kidnapping a bunch of Mortys and using them as the force field. And they've started their own religion for the one true Morty. That's, you know, I can see it, weirdly enough. It's when you lock enough people in a room, take away all hope, they'll try to find hope whenever they can. But we cut to Rick, and basically we find the whole reason the evil Rick's trying to steal his brain, or try to lure him here because he's trying to steal his brain to become the smartest, most evil Rick, because our Rick is almost as evil as this guy, supposedly. There's a lot of complicated shit going on, and it gets worse as time goes on. Because we do see, because the evil Rick is downloading our Rick's, like, memories, and we do get this sad moment, and it's complicated, because Rick's kind of a jackass, but they're trying to imply that he has feelings, even though he doesn't have feelings because there is no meaning. Well, he does, but they don't matter. Does that make any sense? Let's pretend that made sense. So we cut back to stupid Rick and Jerry, who are making ovenless brownies because genius, yeah. And then Doofus Rick sees Jerry's R2-D2 coins and is like, well, yes, these have no monetary value. They mean something to you, and that's what matters. And yeah, Jerry's basically found his soulmate. A little spoilers for season 3, but now that Jerry and Beth are getting a divorce, there's a part of me that really hopes Jerry goes and finds Doofus Rick and hangs out. Like this happens in season 3. I kind of am hoping for that now. Because there was the whole picture in the garage of Doofus Rick in the season 3 premiere. But that's besides the point. So eventually, our Morty leads these hundreds of Mortys in rebellion against the Rick. They end up killing him. Rick calls the Council of Ricks, leading them to their location. And it's like, look at these poor Rickless bastards. They'll be taken back to their homes and be allowed to play video games, right? Our Rick is rewarded for capturing the evil Rick and is given a replacement for One Free Morty, which, yeah, Morty doesn't like that. But they bring up an interesting point here. The reason why Rick doesn't like the whole Citadel of Ricks in the Council of Rick is because he is the Rickest Rick of them all, which means Morty is the Mortiest Morty of them all, That's clearly what's supposed to set them apart. They're the Rickest Rick and the Mortiest Morty. That's kind of why, even though, again, I think it removes the specialty of there being infinite Ricks and infinite Mortys, even though they've kind of built on that in the past. By having them be the Rickest Rick and the Mortiest Morty, it adds this air of specialty, this air of meaning that something more is going on, right? But then we cut to the Council of Ricks, who find out that the evil Rick was actually a robot being controlled, and we see that his eye patch Morty was the one controlling him, which leads me to there's a bunch of theories floating around about this, how maybe this is the Morty Rick betrays in the intro of the show. But it's interesting to think, because the evil Rick was trying to download Rick's brain. So maybe, and this Morty was controlling the evil Rick. So maybe this Morty's goal was to gain the brains of a Morty. It's an interesting idea. But yeah, that's where it ends. It ends on a sort of cliffhanger-ish. And yeah, it's actually a really cool idea. And then our end credit scene, we see Jerry hanging out in Rick's room, which is, I think, the first time we've seen Rick's room. But then Jerry leaves, looks outside the window, and sees Doofus Rick just looking at him outside in the rain. And it's this really heartfelt thing until Rick says that, yeah, he eats shit and that nothing, and that, yeah, you're stupid, because of course Doofus Rick would like Jerry. And yeah, that's where it ends. It's a good episode. You've got a lot of interesting ideas going on. The comedy is there. It's not as strong as other episodes, but this episode makes up for it by having some really interesting ideas behind it. And yeah, with that being said, I hope you all enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. Until next time.